So here is our pendulum. And so perspective is going to be my working camera. And then I'm going to animate it from the side view. And then I'm going to have my graph editor down here. You can see I've already created cons layer for you guys. I can turn those on. I hit the V and now you can see my cons are turned on. And just to show you a little bit of playing with this, what it does, if I grab this, they call it the main control. I can drag it up in the Y. I can drag it in the Z, but not the X. So you're only animating it in the Y and Z. You cannot animate it in the X. That's not how it's built. And then you can see if I go to my controls, I cannot translate them. I cannot scale them. I can only rotate them. I can rotate them in the X. I cannot rotate them in the Y, and I cannot rotate them in the Z. So only in the X. Same thing with this guy. And I'm not going to go through and do that with each one, but you can see, just to point it out for you guys, if you're wondering why this isn't rotating, it's because it's been locked. You're only supposed to rotate it in the X. So I can grab all three of these, like I've shown you, and you can rotate them all together to get nice poses back and forth, but only in the X-axis. If you wanted to change this is the simple, I guess, the default shape. If I grab my root control, over here in the channel box, you can see pendulum type. It's normal. You can switch it to mace, which is pretty spiky and looks pretty menacing. Or you can make it, it says UFO. So I guess the top is UFO and it has this crane look at the bottom.
The claw chooses who will go or who will stay.
Sorry, was that you, Adeline? Were you saying something?
Oh, I had to quote, the claw chooses who will go or who will stay.
Oh, you're talking about from Toy Story.
The LGMs.
Yeah, good. So another thing I want to make sure to stress is you're not animating the character from this root control. Even though it's possible to do, you're not going to do it. Because this root control is just to import the character into your scene. And because this character is already in scene, you're leaving this. The only reason you're using this is to change the type and then just leave it alone. You don't even have to key it. In fact, on the cons layer, you can see if I go in and I say select objects, I didn't include that as your cons layer, your all button, so that you don't animate that. I don't want that animated. That's just going to cause you problems because you're going to end up moving it here and then moving it here, and then you're going to have too much to keep track of. So do not animate this. Only use that to switch your character, and that's it. I make sure that my auto keyframe toggle is on. I'm going to go to animation preferences. Make sure it's set to 24 frames per second, 24 FPS times 1 in the playback. My update view is set to all. I'm going to check my undo just to make sure it's set to infinite. And then I'm going to go to settings, animation. And under tangents, you can see that I've already set it to clamped and default stepped. In fact, I think Mel set hers to weighted tangents. So just make sure it's not set to spline. That's the important thing. So weighted tangents, clamped, stepped, and then I think the rest of it should be good. I say save. The other thing that I haven't done, so yours should, if you just took it right off of the Google Drive, you can see it's called Pendulum 01. So what's the next thing I need to do? Before I start animating, let's say I've already drawn out my planning for my animation. So before I start animating, what should I do?
Reset windows.
Reset your windows? Yeah, so hopefully it'll come in like this with perspective, side, and then the bottom is your graph editor. But if not, yeah, go up to layouts and then set that up. Good. What else do you need to do? Even before you save this file, what should you do? Everyone
Save the
needs to do
project,
this.
the project file.
Yes, very good. Thank you. So go to File, Project window, and then this is the third project. So you're going to call it a pendulum. Mine is already named that, but you would just hit play. I'm sorry, you would hit New, and then just type A3 _ pendulum, and then you would hit Accept. I'm not going to because I have one created, but you can see it automatically sets your path for you, which is perfect. It's going to be a lot easier to keep track of your projects that way. Just in case, because I have so many projects, it's also a good idea to go to File, Set Project, and then I'm just going to select my Pendulum 3 folder that I just created. I'm not going to double click on it. I just select it once, and then I hit Set. So if I need to back out of Maya or whatever, or open, go to Maya, open, whatever, it's going to bring me right back to my, you can see it opens it in my Pendulum 3 folder. And I've already dragged my Pendulum file, my Maya file, into this folder. So you can, yeah, make sure after you've downloaded it that you then drag it and drop it into your scenes folder of your Pendulum folder. Are there any questions about that? Adeline, do you have a question?
Yeah, I was just double checking because I was going through the preferences again. It was supposed to be weighted tangents, correct?
Weighted tangents, correct. Yep.
Weighted, okay.
And
Thank
then
you.
like Saja found for us, make sure that your graph editor down here, you can see as I'm scrubbing, because I already did this, it's only landing on whole numbers. If I spread it out, is it skipping? Yeah, you can see it skipping right over 4.5. It's not going to land on 4.5. And I went Edit, Snap, and this is in the graph editor. Edit, Snap, and then the options. Make sure this is set to snap time to multiple of 1. And then I guess the default is all and times, and then it say snap keys. Okay, so now we've already done that. We've already saved our, so yeah, so I'm going to save this file, save scene as. And again, you're working in a studio, so first initial, last name, underscore, pendulum, underscore 01. I can add underscore BK for blocking. So maybe I have 1 through 6 in blocking, and then maybe I'm ready to start splining. So maybe I'll have another 1 through 6 for splining. But this is the protocol. First initial, last name, underscore, pendulum, underscore, and then only 1 0, not 2 zeros. We're not going to have 99 versions. And then either BK for blocking, or I'm sorry, not blocking. Well, I said BD, either BD or BK. I understand what that means for either one, blocking or breakdown, or once you get to it, SP for spline. So we really don't want to see this named final, because the number is really going to tell us, and the initials, either SP or BK would tell me you haven't started splining. SP tells me you're in splining, and maybe if it's version 7, or like I think Oscar, he got to like version 49. So if there's one that says 35 and one that says 49, I'm going to open the one that says 49 because that's the latest version. So don't add final at the end. Anyway, so save that one. It's not going to be spline. I'm going to call it BK. Okay, so I've renamed it. So now I'm going to start animating. What's the first thing I do after I've saved it and I've created my project? What's the next thing I need to do? And everybody needs to do this. No one should skip this step. Say it again.
Set the safety key.
Yes, perfect. How do I set the safety key, Chase?
You go to 0 and press S.
Okay, so if I go to 0, the only thing I have selected really is I have the main control. So if I hit S without anything selected, obviously it's not going to let me. So before we do that, I have to right click on my cons layer and say select objects. And then you can see all the animatable controls are selected, the main, and the 3 controls. And then, yeah, like Chase said, with those selected, I hit S, and that's my safety frame. And you can see it's right in the default position at the point of origin. So I've set the safety frames. What's the next thing?
You set the starting frame to 1.
Good. So I'm going to go to frame 1. I just hold down Alt and hit the greater than sign. I'm at frame 1. And I hit S again, right? But, okay, so now what do I do? So I've keyed it at 0, I've keyed it at 1. What's
Below
next?
the time frame where it says 0, 0, like the
Mhm.
second 0, you change it to 1.
Good. So I'll never show the safety frame in my play blast, right? So now if I just drag around in my time slider, I'm only getting to 1. I'm starting at 1. Excellent. What's the next thing I do?
Question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Instead of the grip rings, I have glowing orbs.
Are you talking about these?
Yes.
Yeah, so you might have just accidentally selected the geometry, and you can see that you can't do anything with it. You can't rotate, scale it. And if you break the rig, make sure you don't animate those. Only animate these selections, the controls.
I
So
can't
when
seem
you
to get them to appear.
okay,
Like
let
if
me
I highlight the whole thing, it doesn't bring them up.
I'm gonna stop screen sharing for a second, and I'm gonna let you screen share, and we'll see if we can figure out what the issue is.
Sorry to slow it down, but
That's
I
okay.
didn't want to.
No,
Get farther
and someone
behind.
else might have that same question, so it's good that we stopped. Go ahead and screen share. I think. Oh, I gotta give you. Yeah, you have access. Go ahead and screen share.
Okay. So yeah, if I
Yeah. Okay. That's the difference. So instead of and I know in Mel's video she actually does a marquee around the object, your character. A safer way to select your objects, and we're only selecting the control handles. Go to the layers editor to the right that says cons layer that's highlighted blue at the bottom. Not at the very bottom. Yeah, right there. Right click on that and say select objects. Oh, okay. Go ahead and turn it on first. Hit the V in that cons layer. Yeah,
I don't know which one's V.
the first box is always V.
Yay!
Okay, so I'm glad you brought that up, Adeline, because I don't want you guys making a marquee around everything. For one thing, you're going to accidentally select those control. I'm sorry, the geometry, which you don't want to. And secondly, you're going to also select that main control at the bottom. So the only way I want you to select all is to use your all button, your cons layer. Right click on that and say select objects, and that has everything in it that you need. And then you hit 0, and then you hit 1, S, and then you hit S again at 1, and then you change so we don't see your safety frame. Good. So we got that. Does anyone have any questions about that? Make sure that you're using your all button. That's the main reason I want to spend a lot of time here, because I can see that people are not always using their all button, and it's creating some issues for them.
I
All
don't
right, so
think it set the key.
did you hit S?
Yeah,
Oh,
I hit it up.
okay. So you have to have all of them selected. So somewhere along the line you deselected. Nope. You don't want to select it that way. Go to your all button
Ah,
and right click and say select object. That's how you do it. And now you hit S. Good. Now drag it to 1 and hit S again. There you go.
woot.
And then you go to the very bottom and you have -1 for some reason. You don't want to show -1 either. You want to have the
Have
number
what?
1. At the very bottom left corner of Maya, you see those
Oh,
-1s?
whoops.
Yeah,
I
put
must have
0.
bumped something.
I'm sorry, not zeros. Put 1s in there. There you go.
Okay.
The other thing that I wasn't aware of, I don't know how many, I didn't see anywhere in the instructions how many frames we have to animate. For now, I'm going to say let's keep it at 120 frames. But I'm going to check to make sure, because I want to be accurate with that. If you guys needed a little bit more time and the time actually is available for you, I'll let you do that. But for now, let's just say 120. Okay, I'm going to stop screen, or yeah, go ahead and stop, and I'm going to re-screen share. Bring up my Maya
you.
session. Yep, you're welcome. Does anyone have any other questions while I'm bringing up Maya? Okay, so let's say I'm actually using I don't know, Mel's, so I'm looking at Mel's drawings that she did for her planning. What's the first thing I want to do? So this is my camera here. I've already keyed it at 1. What's wrong with this pose?
It doesn't tell the audience anything about the character. It's just stationary, like it's out of the box.
Yeah, it's just default. There's no emotion, there's no curiosity. And you never want to start a character in default pose. So I'm going to select well, actually, I'm going to select my main control. Maybe I want this to start off frame anyways. So maybe I just drag it off screen. So maybe that's where I started. At frame 1, it's not even on screen. And then when I don't know, let's say at frame 20. So I've already keyed it at frame 1. I don't know, let's say at frame 20. I'm going to get it on screen at frame 20. Where's my 20? Here's my 20. So I'm going to zoom in here, and maybe I'm going to stop it near the point of origin. Maybe actually it gets to the point of origin. But at frame 20, it's not just coming in perfectly. And this is basically the default frame again. So I'm going to rotate it. It's coming in at an angle. And then maybe these are dragging already. So frame 1 is off. Frame 20, it zooms in there. And then maybe at frame 30, I don't know, it swings the other direction because of the weight of this this crane arm, whatever. So it swings over this way. And maybe it swings so much and it's so heavy that it kind of pulls it a little bit to the left. I'm sorry, to the right. So you can see this is very simple planning. I'm in stepped. Everything I see in the graph editor is stepped. I don't see any spline. If I needed to change my positions, my timing, I go over here to the All button. I say select objects. And then I don't know, maybe this happens sooner or later. Let's say it happens later. I need to hold down Shift, middle mouse, drag to the right. Maybe it happens at frame 50. I don't know. Maybe it comes in really slow. And I can see maybe even at frame 1, he's on screen. So maybe I need to go back to frame 1 and grab just the main control and drag him further off screen so that when I play blast it, I don't see him. So he gets on screen, he kind of wobbles around a little bit. Maybe he's going to settle down also. So somewhere between, I'm going to go back to my All button. I was going to suggest that you use the spline tools to kind of find an in-between pose. Instead of doing that, I'm just going to have you find an in-between pose. So he's settling down, so he's going to rock back this way. In fact, what I might do is actually start here. I'm going to hit with my All button selected. I hit S, so everything's keyed. But I'm going to drag what I have at 55 to frame 70. And maybe that's too much because that's essentially this exact same, those are the exact same values at 50. So at 70, maybe I'm going to minimize his rotation a little bit. And I'm also going to minimize the angle that he's rotating here. And I can keep doing that back and forth. So he just gradually settling down, and then I don't know, I'll have something else happen. I have to come up with some story. Maybe I'll have a ball that is on the bottom and he's going to grab that or something. But I want to make a really important note for this character, or this pendulum type. This this hand is not rigged, so you can't really open it and close it. So you have to be clever about your animation to make it believable. If he's going to pick something up with it, to have him do it quickly enough so that it just fits over it quickly and he drags it up or something. Or maybe I'm not sure, but just don't show you want to be careful not to show these fingers of the hand like clipping through the geometry of your object. What else did I want to tell you about this? That's pretty much it. So you would animate the whole thing through in stepped, just your key storytelling poses. And again, on those key poses, and this isn't finished. This is just, I did just for the sake of time because we're running out of time. I've only animated 1, 2, 3, 4 poses. I'm gonna select all button. But you can see even with those 4 poses, everything is keyed. They're all highlighted. I didn't miss anything. The only thing I missed was down here, this master control, and I don't want to animate that. That's why it's not on the all button. So does anyone have any questions about working in stepped mode or setting your character up or keying your poses? Anything at all before we go?
So for
Alright.
next class, should we have the key set up or just the drawing planning out?
Yes, just okay. So for next class, I really want you to make sure that your drawings are really well planned out. You've drawn out, you've kind of figured out. And if you need to, like, you can even use Maya as a guide. As far as you have 120 frames, you can just kind of look at. I'm just using this as a visual guide, but you can write it out on paper too. But most importantly, I want to see your drawings, all key poses. And you don't necessarily have to draw your breakdown poses right now, but I want to see your key poses that show what's happening in your story. So make sure you can identify those yourself. And as far as video reference, I would like you to at least look for video reference. If I did a Google search, hold on, not a Google search, a YouTube search. Let me see here. And if I just type in pendulum swing, some of these might be, yeah, like you can see what other students do, but don't use other students' work as video reference. For the most part, these pendulum swings are fairly stiff. It's mostly a string with a weight on it, but there are a couple that have like joints in them. I can't remember. Is it this one? Anyways, just I'll let you guys look for pendulum swings. And those are good. You may not use much of that as far as like storytelling purposes, but as far as like understanding the mechanics of how it works, and especially the settle down, that's going to be really useful. So yeah. So for next class, at least have your drawings planned out all the way through the keys, all the way from frame 1 to 120, and then have some kind of video reference. And I think I said the gesture drawings were due next Tuesday, not this Thursday. Any other questions? All right, so that's it for today. I look forward to seeing your work. Good job on the ball or the tail swing, and I look forward to seeing your poses for your planning for your pendulum. So I'm going to go ahead and end the session and see you guys on Thursday. And let me know if you need to meet for anything. If you need to, especially those that needed help with the spline tools for the ball bounce, or sorry, the tail exercise.